Welcome to Podcast Answers, the show where I help you grow your podcast. If you're looking to start a podcast or have questions about podcasting, this is the spot for you. I help people start and grow their podcast, answering any podcasting questions along the way, and I love to do that. So, guys, we are live and lit today, which means we are live on YouTube. If you go to nowstreaming.live, you will see us on YouTube. You will see us there, but you will also see us in all of the podcasting apps, the new Podcasting 2.0 apps. There's a handful of them that you can see live episodes in, and you can go to podcastanswers.com/live audio, and you can get those episodes there. So you can hear our audio show live if you want to join us live, because it's a fun thing to do. Listening live, you get to hear just a little bit beforehand. I always go live on the audio stream just a little bit before I go live on the video, and you get to kind of hear me prep around and get around before we go. You get a little bit of an insight onto how I do things. So welcome back, guys. If you want to check it out again, podcastanswers.com/live audio. That'll show you the live audio podcast apps that can do the live episode like we're doing here now. Or if you want to watch video, which we would also encourage you to do that, you can put your comments in and be part of the show. And that can be found at nowstreaming.com. So on the days that we go live, you can use that website. Guys, today we are going to be talking about guesting. Guesting is probably one of the best ways. I don't know best, but one of the ways to grow your show. And guesting, what it is get on other people's show and be a guest. Really super simple, right, guys? It's guesting, meaning you're going to be a guest on somebody else's show. And the nice thing about that is it exposes you to their audience and their audience to you. And so some of their audience might actually come back and follow and subscribe to your show. And so you actually end up in the long run getting new subscribers because you are a guest on someone else's show. And so their audience may actually come and be part of your show. They may actually, subscribe to you. And so how do you do that? Now you need to do your research, right? So if your show is about podcasting, you're probably not going to want to go on to a show that's about knitting or basket weaving, because that's not something that you're going to do, because your audience probably is not going to be crossover too much from one episode, from knitting or basket weaving to your show. And so you probably are not going to want to go live or be a guest on a show for basket weaving, because you want to find something similar in your niche. So listen to other podcasts about podcasting if podcasting is your thing. If not, let's say my other show that I do is about being a parent, being a dad, and so I'm going to be listening to podcasts in that space. And that's going to be more likely the shows that I'm going to want to try and pitch myself onto, because it's going to be a good fit. So listen to the shows once you've done your research and you find some shows that fit. Listen to your shows and do research, because find out if they even have guests on. I've heard lots of shows that don't have guests, and they get pitched to someone to be a guest on their show. Nothing is more going to turn me off more as a podcast host as if you actually put an email to me in and say, hey, can I be on your show? I've got a great guest for your show, or I would be a great guest for your show. If you don't even know my show, it tells me right away that you've not done your research. It tells me right away that you don't know anything about my podcast, because I have never had, if I've never had guests on, the likelihood of me telling you, yes, you can come on and be a guest is slim to none. So you need to do your research and find out if they even have guests on their show, because if not, don't even bother sending them an email. So if you find out, yes, they do have guests on their show, like I do for this one, and on my other show, Dudes and Dads podcast, I have guests on those shows. Not all the time, but I do have guests. So once you've figured out that there's a good place to have guests, that show is going to be a good show to have guests, have you on as a guest, send them an email. Tell them something that you liked about their show. Once you've listened to a few of their episodes, you're going to know the flow of their show. You're going to know some of the things that they talk about on their show. And so that's going to be a good thing for you to get to send them, when you send them an email, to let them know, hey, I am interested in being a guest on your show. And this is what I liked about your show. I like the fact that when you talked about, let's say, podcasting, you talked to me and you told me all about the best way to use the Rodecaster Pro or something else. So that way the person you're sending the email to be on their show is gonna know that you actually care about them and you actually know what you're talking about. You know that it's not just a quick sale trying to get on their show to steal guests from them, right? So tell them of something that you liked about their show and why you'd be a good fit. Now, one of the things that I enjoy as a podcast host when people do pitch me, because I get a lot of pitches for people to be on both shows that I have, or all the shows that I have. And some of the things one of the things that I really do enjoy is when people pitch me topic ideas too that they would be knowledgeable about to speak on. So, for instance, if you can say, I'm a nationwide known person for helping parents to be able to know what tech is good for their kids. And so here's the things that I would be good to talk about. Cell phones. We could talk about cell phones and how cell phones are not good for your attention span and how that kids get distracted when they're on cell phones. And we could also talk about, just in general, ways that we can protect our kids from the technology, from the internet. There's lots of things on the internet that's bad. I can talk to your audience about how to protect your kids from the internet. So that's one of the things that you want to do, is pitch some topic ideas that you would be knowledgeable about to speak on, because that also lets the host of the show that you're trying to guest on know that they don't have to do some research on you. You're the one that pitched to them. And so bringing your ideas and the topics that you're knowledgeable to talk about are really a great thing. That way the host of the show has to do less work to find out, oh, this is somebody that I really would be interested in having on my show. Now, many of the times the host of the show is gonna introduce you and let their audience know about your podcast or about what you're trying to pitch. They may say, this is Andy Lehman. He has a show called Podcast Answers where he helps people start and grow their podcast show. So, Andy, welcome to the show. And so that's something that you may want to find out ahead of time, is if you're allowed to pitch your show, if the host is going to be able to say that themselves, if they're going to bring it on themselves, if they're going to bring you when they introduce you, or if at the end you can say, this is how you can contact me. You can find all of the stuff that I do at podcastanswers.com. And so you want to try to find out some of the details about the show beforehand, if the host is going to let you do your pitching for either your product or your podcast or whatever you're on their show for. Now, guys, this is a quick thing. Find out too if the show is being broadcast live, like we are right now. And in fact, we are being broadcast live. And if you're watching live, you can put any questions or comments into the YouTube chat, and I will see them and I can answer them right now. So if you have a question about guesting or how to guest or anything about guesting, put them in the YouTube comments, and I would love to feature them on this episode. So you're going to ask the host if it's being broadcast. If so, I would recommend getting your audience to come support you. So if it's being live streamed, either live audio or live video, have your audience, because you have an audience, you're a show, you're a podcast, have your audience come and support you the day that it's being live streamed. Have them come be on, put their questions in, because that's going to that's going to show the host of the show that you're on, it's going to show them that you actually care enough to have your audience come to their show, because it's a mutual thing. You've brought an audience to them, and hopefully they bring an audience to you, because hopefully after you being on their show, some of their listeners are willing to come to your show and be on the show and have and come back to you. I mean, that's the reason that you're probably doing this, is to get your name out there, to get you out there in the world of other people. And so if you have an audience, see if you can bring your audience on, not on, but make sure that they're live and can support you and watch live. It's going to go a long way with the host if you do that. Now, one of the things you need to remember too is that the host is not obligated to publish your show. So make sure that you're making it worth their while to put you on their show. They have a lot to risk here. If you just come on and totally try to sell your product or your show, the host is most likely A, not going to invite you back, and B, gonna even want to publish your show because there's nothing in it for them. There's nothing that makes them want to publish your show if it's one giant infomercial for your product or your service. So make sure that as you're on the show, you're actually putting value in for that host and that show, giving their audience there some value, not just as a come back to my show because I want you to listen to my show, but giving their listeners value. Now, remember when you send out the pitch emails that you may not get any emails back too. You can send a reminder, but don't be pushy. I've seen it way too many times that people try to invite or try to guest on my show, and I don't answer them right away, or I don't feel that they're a good fit, and so I just ignore the email. So remember, you may not get an email back from the person that you are sending an email to about trying to be on their show, and that's okay. You can maybe send a reminder, but don't be pushy, because nothing turns me off more than when someone sends 2, 3, 4 emails saying, hey, I just want to see if you're still interested. I want to see if you got the email. I want to see. No, only send 1 email, maybe 2. Many hosts get lots and lots of pitch emails. So make yours stand out the best. One of the ways that I can say to do this is send links to other shows that you have been on. How does the host know that you're going to be a good fit for their show if you are just pitching to them and they've never heard you? They don't know if you may stammer around. They don't know how professional you are. They don't know how you're going to act on the show. So if you've been on other podcast episodes before for other people, as a guest for other shows, get yourself out there. Put those links in the email. Say, hey, this is where you can find me. This is where I've been before. And here are other episodes that I've been at. And so that's one of the best ways to stand out. And as well as in the show, or in the pitch email, tell them what you're going to bring to the show. Tell them how you can benefit their audience. Don't just be looking to get something back from them. Now, you can use a service like a booking service to try and get you on other shows. That'll probably cost you some money though. And to me, as a podcast host, some of the best pitches are ones that actually come from the person that is going to talk to me on the show. Some of the things that I don't like getting is getting an email and then having a conversation and then finding out that it's just an agent or a booking agent for somebody looking to sell, their book or their show. And then I say, okay, well, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then they have to go back and forth and trying to figure out a time that works or things like that. To me, if you're going to pitch me a show to be on, a guest to be on my show, I would much rather have you yourself send the email so I can get an idea of what you sound like. I can ask you questions directly and not have to work through your booking agent, because that, again, is just something for me is not. Yes, I understand it's professional. I understand that people have lives and they're hiring people to do that so that they can get their stuff out. But it just seems kind of pushy to me. So if you really want to be on my show, send an email yourself. Let me know you want to be on this show. But booking services, yes, you can use it, but they're going to cost you some money. And it doesn't always look the best to me, guys. So some of the best ways to get your show out there is to guest on somebody else's show. And it's fun to do, guys. It is really a lot of fun when you get out there and you're able to just put yourself out there and show, get your name out there and being on other people's shows. I do this show all the time. I do this every week. And for me, when I get out there and I am on somebody else's show, it helps me to perfect my craft, to become a better podcaster, for one. as well as, I'm hoping that I'm bringing something to that show. I hope that some of my expertise is coming in, and that it's a lot of fun to do, guys. Guesting is a lot of fun to do, and so I would recommend getting out there, and if you've not done it, pitch yourself out this week to somebody else that you can be a guest on their show. If you have any questions about podcasting, starting a live stream or doing any sort of live video, I do one-on-one consultation, and you can book me by going to podcastanswers.com/contact. And that will allow you to send me an information form, and I can get back in contact with you, and we can talk. We can help you start your podcast. We can help you start your live stream today, guys. With that, have a great week and keep podcasting.